Hi guys, Leslie here again. I'm going to show you today how to make some enchiladas placeras the way that I was taught by my mom. We're going to start out with chile guajillo. I usually cut it up with a pair of scissors and pour boiling water on top of it and cover it and just let it sit there while they soak, because we need to grind these up and get the pulp from them. So as you can see, I'm putting in some boiling water, very hot water. And we're going to let it sit there for a while, cover it up, and we're going to get to the next part in a little bit once I cover this up. And I'm doing this on the fly because I just moved and I don't have a stove and I don't have a lot of things that I like to use, but I decided to make this video anyway. Next, I'm going to cut up some potatoes. I don't really like to peel the potatoes. I like the skin. It's very, according to what I've read, nutritious, so I just leave it. Just cut it up in large chunks. There's no size requirement. And the thing is that once you boil these, they seem to soften a lot better if they're cut up in chunks. I just rinsed them. Once again, I rinsed them before I cut them, and now I rinsed them again. Here we go. We're showing how, actually I'm showing how I put them in the water. The water is not boiling yet, but it's better if it is. But as you can see, it's not going to kill anybody if you just put it in there right now. And I'm sorry, I usually put the camera nice and steady, but like I said, I just moved, so everything's everywhere. Sorry about the steam. The potatoes seem to be ready, and the way to find out is just with a spoon or spatula, squeeze them or smush them down, and you can see they're nice and soft now. They're ready to go. There's no science to this. Okay, what I do is I drain the water that was boiling in them, that the potatoes were boiling in, and I usually rinse it one time. You can do twice just to get rid of all that starchiness. Some people like the starchiness because it makes the filling a little thicker, but it's up to you. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to. I usually, once I rinse them, I leave a little bit of water at the bottom. This is going to help me incorporate the chorizo that I'm going to cook right now. You can use any kind of chorizo. You don't have to use this Mexican sausage. You can use a mild one. You can use the beef one, the pork one. Just be very careful when you cook this because it is a raw pork or raw meat. We all know that we have to wash our hands and be careful when we cook this. This is how I open them. You expose the link and cut up the little plastic wrapping. And try not to touch anything else besides what you're needing to get it out of the container. In this case, the cutting board and the knife. I usually have a different cutting board for my veggies, but I just moved again. I don't know how many times I've said that, and I'm sorry. But here we go. This is the second link. Really easy to open up. Just be careful. Some of them are pretty tight. This one seems to be not so tight. All you have to do is fry it out like for about maybe 20 minutes because it is raw pork, and you need to cook that very well. Just smush it down like this. It's going to look like ground beef, as you can see right here. Just move it back and forth. All that juice is where all the flavor is. It's got all the spices, and if you chose spicy chorizo, which is Mexican sausage, that's where all the spiciness would be. There's mild chorizo you can use. They're all pretty good. You can see this is almost done. All the nice juice is right there. And we're gonna incorporate that into the potatoes. And I left the skin on the potatoes because it's very nutritious and it's easier for you to make, and nobody even can taste the skin of the potatoes once they're nice and cooked, so you don't have to worry about peeling them. You can peel them if you want. I tend not to. So here are the potatoes. I pour over the chorizo, and here we see all the nice juice with all the flavoring, all the spiciness. And this is the fun part. You incorporate all the chorizo into the potatoes. All you have to do is mix it in. There's no special way of doing this. I'm just having a bit of a hard time because I'm holding it with just one hand, and It's a little difficult, but as you can see, the water here helps us combine the potatoes and the chorizo. Here we go. I had to put the camera down for a second so I can incorporate this properly. This is what it should look like. There's big chunks of potato, there's smaller chunks, and then there's more that the potato, where the potato looks like mashed potato, which is fine. You know, that's what we want. We want texture, and we want big chunks, little chunks, all sorts of you know, fun shapes for your tongue to enjoy. And here's the guajillo peppers. As you can see, some of them that are very soaked and ready to be pulped or mixed. I don't even know if that's the right word. They change color. As you can see, the darker red or deeper red, that's actually needs a little bit of more time to soak, but it should be fine. I do this usually in a blender. I don't have a blender right now, and I had to improvise, and I used a container where I had chicken stock, or I had chicken bouillon or something. I don't know what I had in there, but I'm gonna use this as my aid to mix it. I don't know where my blender is right now, so I'm gonna use my hand mixer. So just put all the guajillo peppers in the container, and also the water, and we're gonna mix it in there as best we can, because we have to get all the pulp out. I use everything. I use the tail, I use the vine, I mean everything inside the pepper. In my opinion, it gives it flavor, and it's not as time consuming as when you're trying to take the tail and everything and devein it and all that good stuff. This is minced garlic and salt, and you salt it to taste. What you can do is put some salt, mix it, take a test, try it out to see if it needs salt, or if the salt that you put in is enough. But it's salt to taste. As you can see, we're gonna do the fun part, which is mixing all the guajillo pepper. And I would sit there and just what I did was just mix it over and over again until it looked kind of like this. If it's too thick in your opinion, go ahead and pour more water. That's going to help you when you strain it anyway. And next time, I'm going to peel that little wrapper on top of the little cover, plasticky wrapper that sits on the lip. It doesn't look very nice. Alright, now we're going to strain it, because this is how we're going to get the pulp. Because we don't want the skin, and we don't want all the other parts of the chili pepper or chili pod or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to get all the pulp out. This is the way to do it. You can shake it, bounce it, hit it against the container where the pulp is falling in. Get a spoon and push it back and forth. Do whatever you have to make this the pulpy extraction easier for you. I'm towards the end. I'm just squeezing the rest of the pulp, and there we go. There's the pulp. It should look something like this. Okay, and I'm going to show you how is it that I grade cheese. This is Mexican style farmer's cheese. You can use any brand, but it has to be, in my opinion, farmer's cheese. Queso fresco. And what I do is I cut a chunk, I put it in a bowl, in this case in a plastic container, and use the tip of a fork to just break it down. Queso fresco is very easy to grate. You don't have to whip out your grater. You can just do this. It's easier, faster, and you get a nice variety of sizes. The chunks are all in different sizes, so that you get more of a uneven look, which looks cool when you decorate or when you garnish your food. Now we're gonna go with the lettuce, and I did wash this cutting board very well and used bleach and all the good stuff and rinsed it like 3 times, because I did use pork on it, and like I said, I don't have all my usual cooking utensils with me, so I have to improvise. So all you have to do is slice the lettuce, like I just did, and sorry, I just lost. Here we go. And then, okay, now we're gonna go to the cooking part. And what we're gonna do is, since I was doing all that other stuff, we're gonna put some of the mashed potatoes with the chorizo on top. And this is a skillet, an electric skillet, because I don't have a stove right now. So I put some of the chorizo and potato on one side of the skillet, and then the other one we put a little bit of oil, and then a corn tortilla, put a little bit of oil, then a corn tortilla, dip it into the guajillo sauce, and do what I'm doing right now. Flip it over carefully. The tortilla does get a bit fragile, so just be careful, just to be nice and gentle with it. Sometimes it depends on the tortilla that you use. Some of the tortillas are tougher than others, so just be careful when you flip it over. You don't have to do it the way I do. You can fold it in half, and that way it's a lot easier. And keep in mind I'm using one hand while I'm doing this, and not all my usual utensils. Okay, here we go. You can fold it over 1/3, and then on the other side fold it over, and there you go. You have your first enchilada. Like I said, you don't have to do it this way. This is the way I do it, and I'm doing it this way because I'm only holding it with, I'm only using one hand, and I'm not using my usual spatula, so it's a bit hard. You can pour a little bit more of the sauce. To me, it looked a little dry, so I'm adding a little more sauce on top. But like when you cook for yourself, this is something you decide. You want it to be a little on the drier side, so it could be a little more fried. Go ahead. If you want to add more sauce, go ahead. So this is the third one I'm going to make. So we grab our corn tortilla, dip it into the guajillo sauce. And I'm making a big mess for myself there. Pour some, actually flip it over. It just splashed everywhere. And now we're going to go and add the potato and chorizo mix. And I found it a lot easier to use a spoon since the tongs were not doing, they were sticking. So they were not doing a great job at this moment. Or at least with this particular enchilada. Alright, so now you can use the tongs to help, and I found it a lot easier to use them. Just flip it over like I did. And like I said, you can fold it in half if you're having trouble doing the 3 fold. Okay, now we're going to get ready to put them in our plate. And keep in mind, you don't have to be perfect. Not that this looks perfect. But if something like this were to happen, where you're going to see this right now, where my enchilada just like broke in half midway to the plate, what you can do is just set it to the side, and just fix it next to the other enchiladas, and you'll be fine. I usually put my sour cream in a little Ziploc bag, cut a little tip of the corner, and squeeze the sour cream onto them. This particular bag was not doing what it was supposed to, so it looks not very nice, but it's doing what I wanted to do. I'm putting sour cream on top of the enchiladas before I garnish it with lettuce. And keep in mind, like I said, you can add as much sour cream as you want. If you don't want sour cream, don't put any sour cream. If you want a dollop sour cream on top, you can do that way. You can do it that way. And now we're going to add the queso fresco to give it even more of eye appeal, and it's delicious, and it just tastes so good. Now we're going to use our magic bag again with our sour cream. Usually I decorate it way nicer, but it's not quite working out. But I'm going to eat it, so it's okay. So make a whole bunch of little lines on top. Usually they look nicer, but put as much sour cream on top as you want to make it look even nicer. Garnish it with a bit of queso fresco, an additional amount of queso fresco. And there you go. That's what the quesadilla, oh my goodness, the enchiladas look like. Oh my gosh, they taste so good. And they smell absolutely delicious. They're so good. They're easy to make, and 3 will be enough to feed, an adult person, and they'll be nice and satisfied. But since I have all teenage boys, they eat about 3 of these plates. Here you go. I was gonna show you how I ate this, but I didn't want you to see my crazy bun, so Enjoy, guys. Please send me any videos or anything telling me how you like this. And please subscribe and thumbs up, please. And you can also get the recipe at on my blog. Thank you.